that story.
Rinpoche la, tastere. Is Rinpoche can hear us?
Yes, yes.
On behalf of Drikung Seattle and the International Sangha, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to you, Your Eminence Garchen Rinpoche. Drikung Seattle is the host of this weekend's event. So with many from around the world people, we feel so grateful and happy to be able to meet you online and to receive today the empowerment and tomorrow the middle teaching. We know that in this difficult time of COVID, the world needs more prayers and supplication to Parnashavari and the wisdom of Milarepa more than ever. We look forward very much to today's empowerment, and would like to also welcome Campbell Subsong, who will be teaching again tomorrow, and Abulama will be lead as the practice, and the Parnashavari Sandana prepared by His Holiness Chacha Rinpoche. We also like to welcome all the Lamas, Ani Samten, Ani Dagni, Christina, and the whole GBI team. We welcome also goes to all the translators, Ina, Susu, Sasha, Teresa. I wish the Sangha a wonderful time with our precious teacher, Garchen Rinpoche. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Oh my God, I can hardly hear you. Okay. Teni tanda Seattle, teni Drikung Seattle, teni Zamboling Kazak kagi Chozog Loma Tama ki Tab Sene, ni Rinpoche ni Tapa ni Tashi Tele Shuyo, teni tanda ki Zerem di Drikung Seattle Koti Segio, teni Nayang Tangasol Zamboling Kazak kagi Loma Tanda Rinpoche Jar Tuba Ngasom Bemase Gawo Jung, Gawo Yom, teni Taring Washawang Nangyutang Sanin Milarepa Kikachu Nangyitim, Nin Tapane Tudishi Shuayom, teni Tengzang Gitula Lapper to Neam, Chapekabla, Zamboling Lapper to Sosoba Melam, the Logium Soba Melam on Gogo Yorim. Teni Milarepa Kaching on Goya Yorim, Teni Tibet and Wang Nagi, Teni Sanin Kachin and Dingaso Pega Wuchung, Teni Kempo Tupsang Yang Sangi, Taro Montune, Kachinayari, Tene Abo Lamaki, Nyamle, and so Chiari, Tening and so Logiopa, Ruptania Messiari, Garchen Rinpoche, Nayori, Tene Taro Lama Tama, Tene Ani something, Ani Tame Christina, Tene GPI Legacy Ken Samala, Dashi Dela Shuayum, Tene Kigyo Tamala. Ina Susu Sasha and Teresa Tamala, Dashi Dela Shuarim, and Tening answered and Kran Tama, that Nati Kokap, Taj and Butine, Givo Junior Rebayus.
Maho Dashi Dele everybody's hung up.
Billy, I can hardly hear Rinpoche. Can you make sure the microphone is closer? It's extremely muffled. I don't think it's going to work really well.
Oh, yeah. Teenager, I jack up so solid away to roll up some election. Trita, Siati to what you later that Romano, you know, one show your Trina, one day that's a mambo show you already. One security to that mambo your that one shivata, gender show your mammy, me participa one song. Refuge me, mammy, don't corner, Coaton get jump so much. Immediately, the mirror only Randon took just a top. You don't 17 something, Lord, don't go a tongue to death of 17 something membership party. The top shortage about the Lamjerba Sovzanga, Sumganani, the Lam Chisa Penyalam, Sanhaga Lamde, then don't have Chepa, doesn't have Chepa 1 year, so then Sanhamato, Sovzani, the one, Mare, then the Sanhad Nyalamba,
So, Dashidele met their Dharma friends from all over the world. Today, hosted by the Seattle Center, we will have Parnashavari Empowerment. And so generally we receive many empowerments. And an empowerment has a lot of meaning. And so I'm always explaining the meaning of this an empowerment whenever we receive one. Sorry. But so generally, the real meaning of the empowerment is to ripen that which is unripe, and that which is unripe is the minds of sentient beings. So for as long as sentient beings have not ripened or matured, they are bound to only experience suffering. So we call it the samsaric ocean of suffering. But when they mature, they become liberated from suffering. And then for their own purpose, they attain the kingdom of the Dharmakaya. And for the purpose of others, they continue to manifest in the 6 realms of samsara to benefit sentient beings there and help them mature into enlightenment. And so the empowerment, the secret mantra path is the supreme method to mature sentient beings. So the Buddha had taught 3 levels of the path, the Pratimoksha, Bodhisattva, and the Vajrayana vehicles. And among these, the Vajrayana path of secret mantra is called the swift path. And it is also said that the difference between the sutras and the tantras is the empowerment. So only in the secret mantra system of the Vajrayana do we have empowerment. empowerment does not occur in the context of the sutra teachings. So again, the path of the secret mantra, Vajrayana, is a swift path of skillful means.
Sentinam Sanjini, Unja lower to Medjepson, lower to Martel Kari, lower to Mazikari, Kari, Semputum, Semputa by Yore, Sentinam Sanjini, some Semte, young Semte, young son of Sanjiri, Semte Sanjay, Yellow Dubaya, Yoso. There is a Dubakari, there is a Maribani, some Maribani, Semrang, Neruk Mato, Water, there is one Dunga Deba. Gay keep our Mashua, good up the debate, good up late day, tragic tower machine. David Jim machine, no bad they want to jump, the big judge up the Congress. Daji Nissan told it, that's all, that's all, that's Charlie. Dili dang, dili chadang ni, sonre jenisini, chadang ni go desini, bena chotamona, dili zendami, dili talu dili chode kado jondogo, chode rawang chodogo, beti tawa dili maribanyila dili kolesa, dili teli nyumumba, doksom dili yanjarsam son dili nyumumba dokcha. Rock Charlie didn't water drinking Santa, water so don't name tub, don't let it tower your my daughter and double in Musa Dongay, Simba Cheshong, Mato, didn't me, but don't young Yona, you think sometimes double in a laporta tree, the heart of shock chill that I was from the Congress, same with you, what is shock chilly, the lay shock chill sound, the young, the domain shock chill charm. Don't not any Balatri that late of the touch of Tower Mashi. David Jokang about Mashi, Dominic Jokang about Bangmashi, David Jokang about Drop Mashi. There's a Sajay Telem Monetary, Tomani, then it's 17th, Devata, David Jotham, Denver Church, somewhere. There's a David Trawachi, you know, send the David Trawachi. They just come with just about the gingeries. The middle just tower, the just talk with it. That doggy needs a tower. Three Jimdale machinery. That's the monsoon, that's the minion go, the minion and the turn song of Tana Yore. There is a better than that. Look at the Chasam with some young Yore. The young Minion, the Jack of Jackal, Chipper Yore, Mary Chipper Yore. Don't know the Tarang less such a chongatini, the legend about my so the very that succeed short and that don't make the same very top company, the rota with the little men of Noble Bango Yore, Ronin Mayamala, no get the rota of Nogo. This are the dollar three, Toma Wagner or Tom legend or take. David just took some more now. There is a touch in it, legend, David just somebody, Dajin, Dajin, your Lord and Derny, Dajin, your Lord, you know, same song much up. Some song much sent to Chatamon, your town. They told that with them, but on that with them, Dajin, Nimeba, some Nakata, child, Green, there is, they have what the maybe they watch about the same there. Ranang so watching, don't maybe they watch boy, similar to yours. Don't matter the moment, something is already. So send there is subject, don't think they care. Rank send the also send the sword rate. Little, little, Maria, send over so. Send the little, Dandy, and the subject so much. I think was that. Garchen Rinpoche and the Koatoma Mepano, you've been dirt of your Marie. There's that the end that the charge. Oh, indeed, Mara, Nig, Dandy, Sevaris, Dandy, new about your tea, rather me yours. They are to Tomna, oh, Dandy, David Jokan, somebody in jail. 되게 저 차와들이 대화 차라 탐지들이 내가 저 사마도 이제 톱고 요리 상은 좀 내지 봐 가르치네 들이 줍제를 다들아 람마노나 들이다 로마자 두면 소만하지 레줍제는 게 시지다랑송 나도 취사를 저 가다는 좀 모르다서 이티스고 그거는 송바에 들이 줍제 찾지 쳐와시요 하고 우리 대면서 능이 제법 값을 다등다 가리고 그래들 토마니니 능이도 석의 주성 랑랑나 주성 레리랑랑나요 수주성 다디다 유명의 주성 대하고는 능이 짜더니 다하고 두고요 대하고는 이는 레리요 말에 잠불리는데도 등에 거들 등에 민담이 제발이요 등이 차만은 참양용거 말에 될 때는 좀 자주 쳐봤더니 뒷상으로 양당도 동거를 해도 가거든.
So the Buddha had said all beings are actually Buddhas, and beings are only obscured by adventitious stains. And adventitious stains are within the mind. So all beings are Buddhas is that all beings, the mind of all beings is actually Buddha. But also the Buddha said that even though they are Buddhas, they are obscured, their minds are obscured. And what is it that obscures the mind? It is the two kinds of ignorance. It is the ultimate ignorance, which is to not realize one's true nature. And then it is the relative, so that's the ultimate obscuration, and the relative obscuration is not knowing the workings of karma, cause and effect, the subtle workings of karma. So it depends, the reason why we do not recognize this begins with the ultimate obscuration, and that is the dualistic perception, the grasping at self and other. And so when we see ourselves in a dualistic way, then the self is most important, and we become attached to the self, and we develop an aversion against other. So the mind in its natural state is actually like clear water, but it has become tainted by thoughts of attachment and aversion, by dualistic thoughts. So it's like various substances were added to the water and that changed its color temporarily. So the mind has lost its autonomy, its freedom. And so then due to this dualistic perception, then we create karma to take birth in samsara. So first the three poisons arise, and then on top of that there is three more poisons. So we have 6 afflictive emotions which cause us to wander in the 6 realms of samsara. And as we wander in samsara, we never find any freedom from our suffering. And in this world, everyone suffers. Everyone experiences actual suffering, especially also nowadays. We actually experience great suffering, but still not everyone experiences it in the same way. People experience suffering to varying degrees. And that is due to varying karmas. So there are some people in the world who experience a lot of suffering, especially nowadays. And so why is that? It's because when the afflictive emotions in the mind are very powerful, then one will commit very powerful karma. And if one commits very powerful karma, one will experience powerful suffering as a result. So in brief, it comes down to the relative obscuration, which is an unawareness of the workings of karma, cause and effect. It is to not know the causes of happiness, and therefore one does not create those causes. And it is to not know the causes of suffering, and therefore one doesn't abandon those causes of suffering. So this is what the Buddha meant when he first made this prayer, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. So the cause of even the slightest happiness is love and compassion. And the cause of even the slightest suffering is self-grasping, dualistic thinking. And due to that, we do not understand truly karma. And then our actions are mistaken, and as a result, we experience suffering. But still, even though that is the case, we can utilize this knowledge to really think about it. So now in this world, as we have said, not everyone experiences suffering in the same way. So there's different countries in the world. There's a difference in terms of where one lives, or even in one country, for example, one might have a different experience due to like what race one belongs to and so on. So basically, it is because of us having accumulated different karma that we experience different levels of result. But once karma is created, its ripening is said to be unfailing. And so there are, for example, those who have accumulated more powerful negative karma, and those people, even though they are born as human beings, many human beings in the world experience suffering just like an animal. So in brief, now when we receive an empowerment, what we are first introduced to is karma, cause and effect. And that's the cause for happiness is bodhicitta. So if you understand karma, you understand that the cause for happiness is love and compassion. And then you understand, if you understand karma, you know that when this self-cherishing attitude becomes subdued, the mind then comes to its naturally pure state, which is like clear water. And then in such a state, you can see the ultimate truth, that actually self and other do not really exist. That mind is like space, and within space there is no division or duality. And when you realize that, then you attain a state of great bliss that is free from all suffering. And that is something that can be accomplished only through your own mind. Everything is created by your own mind. And likewise, also, all of your suffering is created only by your own mind. So the mind is really most important, which is why the Buddha said, completely tame your own mind. That's most important. The body is not most important. And so when you tame your own mind, you are taming the root of all suffering, which is self-grasping. And if we wouldn't have the teachings of the Buddha, then no matter how much we would try, since beginningless time in samsara, we still have not been able to tame this concept of the self. And so now, through the teachings and understanding karma, we can understand, for example, why we have a particular kind of suffering. It is because I did something. I did it myself with my own self-clinging mind. And from self-grasping, then we develop negative emotions, and then these karmas ripen. And likewise, even the slightest happiness you experience comes from love and compassion. So when we understand karma, we must understand the most subtle workings of karma. The most subtle moment of love leads to the experience of happiness. So then we know that is what we have to develop. That is what we have to gain. It is love and compassion. And so then when you understand karma, you will be unmistaken in your actions on the path. This is also explained, for example, in the 7 verses of Supplication Chittara. And also Jigden Sumgön has spoke about when you gain complete certainty in karma, then only then your Dharma practice will not merely be lip service. So it's important to understand the subtle workings of karma. And so, for example, think in this way: when you experience suffering, why did that happen? I created that myself in the beginning. It's all self-made. I did something, I accumulated karma. And how did I do that? It's because I grasped at a self, and because of that, I am afflicted. So I have created karma. If you understand that, then you see the very root of your suffering. And then you will not blame anybody else for your suffering. And then also you will see that this is the suffering that all beings experience in the world, just to varying degrees, depending on what karma they have accumulated. Not everyone experiences everything exactly in the same way. So this is how we should reflect on karma in the beginning again and again.
이제 다 소소라는 게 내가 저기 가서 줄 쳤다나 이 산지에서 가이는데 저도 쓴 거요리 님망압도 님망압들이 님마디들이 그래 생긴 님마디 강리들이 다 님망발이 님망방가데 님망가데 님마들이 레양 대답을 상들이 레그랑 독들이 땅다벨는들이 님망압도 그랬더니 손질까봐, 먹일까봐, 내질까봐, 내가 손질과 요성 사제가 송말이 관계 쪽에 능방가, 능방을 안 주주베서 능방 코나를 안 주, 능방 코나를 안 주들 삼바당 이제 싸웠는데 만대들이 능방 뚜벅을 안 주, 대점변은 땀매진 딱 하시는 잡을을 제다요 되고 내사는 몇적 망을 무지들이 또 벽치 보여 말 저치 지라서만 망고요 말이 딸 맞고 잡고 보여 고소로나 딸미 파스 도다 욕하게 가시세 되리 대말 다 땡상들이 머리에 막아들이 맞춰 참아보들이 베르테세 작합들이 좀 되지래 뒤에다를 레치 치고 이 싸움 거니 들이도 남이 되는 게들이 다 매연 거예요. 도너티 라랑 줄 쳤다는 레드트리나 지갑들이 다 산지 탐지게들이 저바 주면 제반 종교요래 강들 때를 제동 봐서 이런 로아를 속라랑 속세들이 로아를 동이 성습대 땅이 성습대 능아지 장장리 다들 산지 요말서 이 성습은 그런 속들 양산지 탐지라 비바도 대화들 레드 상을 탑 됐다 산지 저바 망군 종교요래 terreno tata 로주마 집안디 저땅디 딸 라탐치가 쪼들이 파마다 제는 제트로만 이야리 제를 제트로만 들어봐 다 장미바리 다당고서 잠이 되문도나 ter이 산지가 밤이 사예니 지내서 세아자 사용의 제트로만 세아자송 다 대자로 sep지가 장사냐 맞더니 피바다 대화 드나 가래 제거들이 들들 람상들이 야린 여러 말이 미티가 세고 줄 레드 데데 뭐 독들이 라는 게 저들 라는 게 세고 줄이 저들 당진상 유모 같아 당진데 산속처럼 그 죽을 당내더니 랑 돌고 요면이 이 산지 좀 되지가 랑 돌고 말이 콩고 잡아 탑에 탑도 콩고 잡아 그래서 탑 가려서 다 산속성을 얘는 다다 또 갈거리데 다랑게 십지 되게 되지게도 고속 되지게도 말이 나랑 소속 사촉 sep지는 나를 좀 안냐서는 그냥 답안들이 사촉 속지 못해 체미 바지 양양도 곰 뒤로 다다다 다살서 왔다 되지는 다다다 뒤 레드 비자리 시청 못지나 뒤 저기 손에 따라 담자죠는 사촉선이 속다고 뒤수들이 미망보 셔지 삼나요 대답이 시에다 매일 뒤에 저서는 노를 꼬라잖아 다디 맞아봐 생코를 해야요 말이 양을 딱 보시면 양능이 성성 가르치는 로드를 생코를 나가다 찍고 제셔야요 말이 대회는들이 다다다 랑 소소 됐다고 습지 탐지를 핀바다 대비체도 삼롱삼롱당 다다다는 다 습지 탐지가 오 지리 이보를 리고 삼네요래 되면 고쳐서는 소아답 산쪽선 냥선은 라카리는 폐기요래 다다 수로만 좀 왕강 내지니 뭐라 파졌으면 그냥 까빠 장매반이 이제 좀 못봐 장매바 폐기요래 지는 이제 그 송토 용진 천내그 봐. 그 장매발이 그래서 다들 오 라여담 탐제디 라이시발이 수종송마다 다들 직진이 발에서 대상을 말했지. 이 라이고 송토 용진 천내그 자신들이 수종송마 탐제 동요래. 그리디 로뇽만들한테 파티는 하면 그 봐 자세히서 대소발이 그래서 다들 송마 탐지 예당은 라 용띠 철학의 체발을 철학의 잡을 철학가리들 습지 탐지 농해를 줘 탑제고 요래 그때 왜는 들이다 로줌을 또 남타양들이 파티는 뭐 찾아야 인송 스테이지에 들이다 로줌만 건 남탈 디바트리 세 로그레
So when you listen to the Buddha's instructions, when you hear the Buddha's instructions, you can directly apply them by looking at your own mind stream. So the Buddha also said that there will be those times of 5 degenerations, a degenerate time. But what is actually degenerate is all within the mind. It is a degenerate time because the mind of beings has degenerated. Their afflictive emotions, the 5 afflictive emotions, are much stronger. And then they engage in activity based on very powerful afflictions, and therefore they also experience corresponding results. So in this time of 5 degenerations, it's actually the mind that degenerates and then manifests in the outer world as the natural karmic manifestation of that mind. The Buddha also spoke about there coming an aeon, a kalpa of weapons, a kalpa of famine, and a kalpa of disease. And where does that all come from? It comes from the afflictive emotions in the mind, and only the afflictive emotions in one's own mind. It's negative things like these kalpas happen because sentient beings have lost their love and compassion. It's almost absent in their mind, and they are only afflicted. For example, we can see the destruction that can be caused in the present day compared to how it was in the past. We can really see that nowadays everything is so much more destructive. For example, in the old days, there were not a whole lot of weapons. And so, for example, if a king was angry with someone else, another country or so, then they would fight, maybe throw arrows and spears at each other and so on, and kill a few people, but actually nothing in comparison to how people are murdered nowadays in a war. Nowadays, we are not even speaking about individuals, we're speaking about hundreds and thousands of people who can be killed at the same time. Whole countries can be wiped out all at once. So this can happen because huge things like this happen is because huge karma has been created. And then also great suffering arises as a result of that. So therefore, we have to, understanding karma has to begin with looking at your own mind. And so then the Buddha, all the Buddhas, appeared in many myriads of ways in order to tame sentient beings according to their needs. The Buddhas appeared in the forms of all the sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara, in all the 6 realms. For example, in the 3 lower realms. So somebody might think that, oh, in the lower realms, there's just suffering. There is no Buddha, how can there be? But actually, even in the lower realms, the Buddhas appear in the form of a being in that realm in order to benefit beings there. So Buddha emanations really are a myriad and everywhere. And so today we receive the empowerment of Parnashavari. And so generally speaking, the father and the mother of all the deities are Tara and Chenrizik. And there are limitless manifestations of Tara. For example, in Chameraga Asia's prayer of Sukhavati, it says that from the Buddha Amitabha's right hand, 100 million Chenriziks emanate, and from his left hand, 100 million Taras emanate. Basically, actually, there are as many emanations as there are sentient beings that emanate in order to benefit sentient beings. And so how do they benefit sentient beings? It's not that they just go there and pick them up, right, just like that, but it's by introducing them to karma and helping them see that the root cause of their suffering is their own self-grasping and their own afflictive emotions. So really how they benefit beings is by showing them how to liberate themselves. So really you have to liberate yourself through bodhicitta. The Buddha himself had said, I can only show you the method that leads to liberation, but liberation depends on yourself. You have to liberate yourself. And how do you liberate yourself? It is by cultivating bodhicitta. So what is then the main thing that we need to do when we cultivate bodhicitta? The main point here is that we have to look inward instead of at other people. So we are not looking at other beings thinking, oh, they're doing this and they're doing that. No, we're looking at our own mind, our own practice. I have to practice. I have to cultivate bodhicitta. From the bottom of my heart, I have to cultivate the 4 immeasurables over and over again. I have to practice the deity and supplicate to the deity. And so if you develop great trust in karma, then you really will have a commitment in your mind. And through this commitment, bodhicitta will arise naturally. So now we think that many people are dying in this world, and actually it is just their bodies. When the body comes to an end, when the body perishes, then the mind still continues on to wander in the 6 realms of samsara. And it will continue to do that for as long as self-grasping exists. The mind will not perish. The mind goes on to anywhere, either the lower realms or the pure lands, but the mind is like space and therefore it cannot die. So this is how also I myself think. So when we think about how to benefit all sentient beings now. So to benefit beings, so we might think that there is an antidote and for each affliction and so on, for each issue there's an antidote that we need to reflect on. And, or for example, we think that we have to supplicate to the 3 jewels. But actually, as long as you cultivate a mind of bodhicitta, then whatever you practice, whatever deity you practice, will become beneficial to sentient beings. And so, however, because nowadays there was a request even though all deities are the same, there was a wish to receive Parnashavari Empowerment, since it is said that this goddess is an antidote to disease, curing disease. And so Panashavari is also an emanation of Tara. And Tara has appeared in limitless ways throughout limitless kalpas. And the deity possesses the qualities of enlightened body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities. And emanations of these five are also limitless. And that is a quality of all the wisdom deities, all the yidams. So some people think that a deity, a yidam deity, is a wisdom being, but then the Dharma Palas, the Dharma protectors, are just worldly beings. But that's not true, actually, because so the deity possesses body, speech, enlightened body, speech, mind, activities, and qualities. So the Dharma protectors actually are an aspect of the deity's enlightened activities. And so in the case of Panashavari, she is said to be an emanation, and again, emanation servant of Sri Devi or Palden Lamo. And as such is also a protective deity, representing, embodying the enlightened activity of the yidams. And so then what are they supposed to do? What are they doing with their enlightened activities? They engage in methods. They try to liberate all sentient beings from suffering. And so there is a story about Parnashavari. And in the story, it also mentions that she's an emanation of Sri Devi or Palden Lamo. And so in any case, I will read the short history that goes along with the Parnashavari empowerment.
Roma chama jisa nama yende Ramon dini Tomo number nam jere prepa party nam ponyo jekti kunde juwe ladang lebje so injection tu kine de ki majek pan chu je jasu song je song be ladang lebje kunji chu je jasu song 얘네 사람이 등에는 욕 등에는 좀 약간 딱서 마음과 상제 빠진 노벨이지 대저 롱티 톱 로어 쪽에 대해서 숨 치티 나가나 생을 주 사회 로마 경우네 박밤 판배송 대배 사모르수 로마 진짜 종대주 종대 사주 빼면이게 간이 조모자 점철 잡아서 유대 군리 예 선배들의 독터 탐지 시와 당 매남 탐지 매남 탐지 조지바 Panashavari sa 남절진 공발사 송비 무득군색 줄에 자식군지 답고세 루치 군지 잡선주 서바마동 파르네 직진 군라 파치서 송베 디 디바리 디 로지 하장 망보 잠이나 망보 요래 대리파티는 주인데가 요새 옛날 윤나 미나 대사모 주 탐정하게 저도 쉬어요래 그러니까 gyapti roma namchori gyapti roma semchi 동체 발았더니 사이르다 멜라트바 망도 팹요래 그렇게 팹냈더니 무슨 매속 제들이 대양들이 고소한 강의 망보들이 양sem지 이제 동체 때도 매철종들이 다 개우치지 삼체야 대사들이 매출을 때들이 담을 강의 연구요래 일랑 sem지 동체 발았더니 홍나와 탕치양을 봤더니 대겠더니 차독들이 다 상제들이 상제 그롱 양 타도가 상제 거를甚至 동세에 그냥 타도가 타도 상제 네 롱톱좀 그때다 그래 들이 또 집진 좀 말에 마대 바래 사무주 탐지 집진 좀 공소 또 바래서는 내가 그걸로 주자면 망고 대삼지라 들이 무서요 요래 조금 메르소네 대 요래 돈은 폭듯이 주디 집진 좀 말에 마대 바래스 돈당 눈이 시에나 들이 사제 이요 말이 얘네들이 내가 들이 유모바 마와 탐지 제지 로관디 마서 내가 대답에 저 대탐지 니보라 들이 라지 들이 상속시 속치와 탐지 라지 들이 다디인도 차도치와 탐지 제지 내가 차도 내가 지지죠 와서 돈 사지 맞아 봐리 이런 탐지 내줘 왕들이 너랑 내줘 대도 소화돼 연구요래 너는 동네 탐지 나디는 유모에 좋아해 내가 세진이지 다들 오는데 나 피바탐지 라를 접송 노바탐지 제제송 노바티그라는 걸 내장거 요리 지금도 내도 상고나 배는 나사독장을 싹수 제거리 민족 제보자고 때는지 동네들 내장거 요리 때 상할시 발때 뭐 부지 다때서는 나는 수송은 양수를 말 동네들 내장거 요리 배는 다들 동네는 잡을 내장거 요리 레사과 보탐치 레사가 요레스 레트 상고레스 레트 상 타톡 센데싱 보고 양망으로 사지 토야 요레스 항상 룰루로지 되도지 거래 탑탐제다 보탐지 지레저 차실에서 뭐탐지 제들로만 차실에서 와데 됐다고 왔다더니 라지직대 강인하더니 다 니엘서 합치와 차고 요레스
And this empowerment comes from the 50 Drikung Kagyu empowerments, and it is number 17. So number 17 is the brief empowerment of Panashavari, the goddess dressed in leaves. And so this is the history. And this goddess is a servant to Sri Devi, Mapalde Lamo, who emanated from wrathful Vairocana. When she traveled throughout all the world, the 8 classes of gods and spirits were terrified and ran away. So Avalokiteshvaram said, "Do not be afraid, make offerings to her and go for refuge in her." Thus, the 8 classes of gods and spirits all made offerings to her and took refuge in her. Then the goddess entered Samadhi, and she received the prophecy that in the future, in the pure method Buddha realm, she would become the Buddha glorious jeweled gem. Then she traveled to the 6 realms of samsara and taught the Dharma there. When staying at the Radiant Joy Mountain Hermitage, she wore the leaves of the wilderness tree and recited the Dharani of noble Achita. Thus she became known as Panashavari, the goddess dressed in leaves. According to the Net of Illusion and many other tantras, this Dharani belongs to the Kriya Yoga class, and the goddess is the wrathful servant of the Lotus family. The Sambhuti Tantra says, "She who pacifies all unruly ones and destroys all illnesses is called Parnashavari. Yogic practitioners should practice her. There are limitless benefits to her practice, including protection against all contagious disease." The revelation of Siddhis Tantra says, "The mistress of all auspiciousness is the refuge for all those with bodies. Until samsaric existence is emptied, there will be no obstacles in the world." So that was the history, the short history, and there are many different histories. There are also longer ones. And so the history is most likely related to the Sri Devi Tantra. And so in any case, what's most important to understand about her is that, as I always say, all deities of the female class really are emanations of Tara. And Tara appears in many ways to benefit sentient beings. She appears in the God realm or in the human realm as a human being. For example, appearing as a human being, she also then, those emanations then also undergo many hardships, the hardships of the humans. And they still continue to act for the benefit of sentient beings. And then, for example, they might appear as a spiritual teacher to the humans. And so then, due to the human world, they run into all sorts of difficulties there. And still, they do not grow tired of it. And they continue to tirelessly act for the benefit of sentient beings. And knowing that ultimately these sentient beings can become Buddhas, can become enlightened. So this is who she really is, Panashavari. She really mainly is a deity that is one with Tara, and so are all the female deities. And then all of these deities have different stories, in a temporary, relative level, but ultimately, really, they are emanations of Tara. So temporarily, they have different stories because they appear, for example, in the human world, and then they have different stories that happened in their lifetimes in the human world, for example. But they all trace back to Tara. And likewise, for example, we often speak about gods and demons. Actually, ultimately, there are no gods and demons. It is just something that we temporarily create in our own mind with our own afflictive emotions. So we think that there's something that's causing harm in the world, and that is what we call like demonic or a demon. But basically, what a demon really is the afflictive emotion within one's mind, the corrupt or distorted intentions in one's mind. And then the opposite of that is a deity, so we call, or a god. So we often label those individuals who have a strong bodhicitta, we call them like God-like divine beings. And then those who are very selfish, we call them demonic beings. But this is just how it appears temporarily. Ultimately, there really are no gods and demons. It's something that constantly changes, also due to whatever karma we create. So really, it's all a creation of our own mind. A demon is the creation of our own self-grasping, our afflictive emotions. And so then sometimes, due to the various outer conditions that arise, it appears to us as though, something good happened, so it's because of the deity. The deity made this happen. The deity made this good thing happen. And if something bad happens, we think that, this was caused by a demon. This must have been something evil that did that. But actually, all the harm that happens, we shouldn't even label it evil, because it's also a good thing, because any suffering purifies our negative karma. It's like if you have a very severe disease, a sickness, sometimes you have to also undergo very severe medical treatment, like have to do a surgery or have to take very strong medicine in order to heal. And so similarly, the suffering is what purifies the negative karma. So that is what we are also introduced to in the secret mantra. And so we should apply that to our own experience and our own suffering, and also see that all the suffering that the people now experience in the world is all a purification of negative karma. All that karma that was accumulated with afflictive emotions. And ultimately, whenever all that karma has become purified, what remains always is Buddha nature. So therefore know that in the future, all of these beings can attain Buddhahood. So it's important that you relax your mind a bit. And so again, whatever sadhana deity we practice, all the male classes of deities are an aspect of Chenrezig, and all the female deities are an aspect of Tara. So if you practice the deity, supplicate to the deity on the basis of such an understanding, then no matter what deity you practice, the signs of accomplishments will be swift and blessings will be great. And so, especially now where there is much suffering and disease, in the beginning of the empowerment, we're going to recite the 100-syllable Vajrasattva mantra. And so for that, visualize a Vajrasattva above your crown and visualize your central channel going through your body. And think that it is open like this bell at your crown. And above your crown is Vajrasattva. And from him, a stream of blessings descends down and enters the central channel and then pervades your entire body. And think that this nectar washes away, cleanses all the impurities in your body and all negative karma, the 36 impure substances of your body, all the garbage is being purified. And think that the nectar pervades the 5 chakras and each and every channel of your body until it reaches each and every pore of your skin. And in this way, think that all negativity has become purified. So meditate on this continuously. So this is how we should meditate in the beginning of the empowerment and also thereafter. It's very beneficial to visualize this, meditate on this continuously, visualizing the Buddha, Vajrasattva above your crown and so forth. So now we continue with the recitation of the 100-syllable mantra.
Om Beda Sado Samaya Emane Bhavaya Beda Sado Tenu Titane Dome Bhava Sotakayo Meva Supechayo Meva Ana Dome Bhava Savadita Meva Sovagama Sadamia Satamji Yankuro Aha Ho Bangavia Savata Sangata Beda Mamemaza Beda Bhavama Samaya Salo Hama Savata Nagada Abhikeka de Samaya Shriye Om Abhikita de Tahom Bayo Maruba Zoba Shada Wang Topanya de Jorotomana Obisur Boji and Yajajan Om Aho the Shawara Toma Taki Topami Batawa Deva Chepaji Manaka and Yambarajo Magaru Mugamana de Vena de Oma Om Bezo Umagar Mazavana Adin Vena de Oma Home Peso Umagar Mazavan 아데네면다도 오마오 베소와 좀 되게 예정만 심망로 사도로도 예정만 소디도 뭐로 사도로도 그 잠내로 삼자라도 예정만 저 탑제도 저거는 삼자로 강제도 뭐죠 뭐만 저다도 뭐죠 예상하다 그냥 너무나도 조정해 봐 제가 때라 또만 자야 냐라 그런데 이제 봐 저도 이번에 그들 네가 사바시 와서 생겼나 별면서 다른 저 봐지 지지는 쉽도 짱 저저 야다도 뭐 탐바죠 보고 나지 봐봐대 그런 비교돼 담야대 손제면 역하면 소들하고 잔데 라그라 베롱나 지난데 밤마제 좀 제마 좀 가다베 올려고 뭐 내다도 소도 동조나가 내다도 사보다 사다는 게 섬에 무슨 말을 나나봐야 호는 호보가는 봐야 런다요 상원이 뭐도 말지 사를 정소 탐제의 접경 바바는 소 어떤도 도지거나 되었는데 러비 오탐제도 사실 로저 son다도지 도지 잡아지 보다 되다가 반상도 도지 나의 저 서로 도지 잡아서 서로 이시제 매번 반상에 맞다 뭐도 맞죠 와서 걸로 이제 자지 와저 엄마는 베다 바바 베다 벤다 베다 딱하라 비자라 베다 샤라도라 좀 엄마도 안하나가 홍홍홍홍홍 뭐들이 남가다냐 셈진 삼체게 동하게 싸들이 단디니 마존 용바 요마리 대변들이 항상 소소게 단디지 등아 이 감소 셈지 단디 뒤니 되니 저서는 이제 남주 셈지 장매바 되는데 셈지 담지 사랑상승면 잡을 거 요상 되니다 무슨 메다 뭐고래지
The root of suffering of all sentient beings, limitless as space, is self-grasping. And there is not a single affliction that doesn't arise from self-grasping. And so bring to mind your own self-grasping and then the self-grasping of all sentient beings, bring it all into one and think that you are offering it up to the Buddha's abiding in space, along with the entire outer universe. So the entire universe and all beings are made an offering. So think that now I am making outer, inner, and a secret mandala offering.
그래서 부산은 죽을 놓은 것을 저 남고 감잡아 속도 됐을 때 사제에서 끄적끄적하고 지마타데 남고를 패는 거 요래 저당 콩마 띵고 그 참는 요요는 소심이 바가 다 무슨 요요 삼배 이렇게 정도면 나버 그래지.
And the offering is made to the innate union of the Dharmakaya and Sambhogakaya, which pervade all of space at all times. And so for this reason, the moment we think of them, we bring the deity to mind, they're already here in the space before us, because actually they are here continuously, always all pervasive. But to bring this to mind, we supplicate them and we offer a mandala to them.
In the yellow prayer book on page 7, an infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms, if I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine, by offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping, completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and concepts of arising, cessation, and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial. The supreme mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Devada Kini Rana Mandala Prapicha Soha.
Teni 초정 가는 눈이다. 라는 것들이 다왕쇼요서. teni thousand dollars simjiba. Tamsi kutawati majidi ores.
So think that I'm receiving this empowerment from the field of refuge, which the deity is abiding in space before me. And because it is the root of the Dharma, we first take refuge and we cultivate bodhicitta, which are recitations that we are going to repeat.
Gumji Yishi Pongbojin Sipe Koro Namjongwa Dering Shipe Rinchichi Towo Dala Padinso.
And then in English, embodiment of omniscient wisdom, who utterly purifies the wheel of existence through your kindness, please grant me the principal deity of the precious treasury you are setting forth today.
Mege so sha rowe gela ji rang sangje changche yi ji zong sangje ju dang tom cho la changche partu da jam ji rang ji Doni Rab Drab Sir Sang Jab Semne Ji Barje Sang Jab Choge Semne Ji Ji Ne Sem Ji Kam Je Daki Dondanier Sang Jab Jum cho yi yong je bar ji ro la pin ser sang je re bar jo.
In English, I take refuge in the three jewels. I confess all misdeeds and non-virtues. I rejoice in the virtues of all beings and hold the Buddha's awakening in mind. Until attaining awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly in order to fully accomplish the purpose of others and myself. I give rise to bodhicitta. Having given rise to the mind of supreme awakening. I welcome all beings. I will engage in the supreme bodhisattva conduct that is pleasing to all. May I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings.
사원적으로 산촉생인 바 대신에 왕거디잖아 토만건으로 산촉생인데 왕은 형보 산촉생인 바대 참에 영당 영들인 거랬어.
The very seed essence of even 100 empowerments, of all empowerments, is bodhicitta. And this is how we first begin the empowerment. It is bodhicitta. So over and over, again and again, bring this to mind. The essence of the empowerment is bodhicitta.
서로 산촉의 셈주나 되게 주라 랑기를 주바 상보 연구요래 상보 주바 데이터 하고 그래야 돼.
And if bodhicitta is present within your mind, then just naturally, you should know that naturally whatever you do becomes excellent conduct.
로브 공소소 다라 레초 로마 좀에 고송 토기에 지선나와
Master, please heed me. Please bestow upon me the empowerment of body, speech, and mind of the Bhagavati Parnashavari.
심지는 피고 쌈 로티 기마 타데들이 라지고 적진지 라지 운수용 거요래 제발 미발에 심대식 형보도 산족선단 되나 대형 이 침보리 나왕 짜한테 다래지.
So now cultivate this wish of I want to benefit sentient beings. And then the moment this wish arises in your mind, think of the form of the deity. And that then is the actual deity. There's no difference between what arises and the deity. So that's also because bodhicitta is connected to your Buddha nature. So this really that's very important, and this is really the essence, the root of the empowerment.
도제 zumba 공서서 다네 로라 페인동더 또치 주라 손대지 사지 이시 지도서
Vacha holder, please heed me for the benefit of beings. I supplicate you, Exalted One, please cause the mudra of wisdom to arise.
로마 좀 짜자던 금도 장그 용하고 예가와 사예서 도지 자자 다 용some 야가 예 등등 제베 저거는 초청 제베 랑조 용바 정화 등신 다가 보면 자자지 도와주제 정정 자제바 내 당동 통제 잡제 내바 동저지 주빈지 공대 다그 다와 온거만 뭐 아마 보니까 홍보 됐으면 저러면 이제는 뭐 돈이들 더좀 더 되는 카와바바다 로만은 섭섭섭 말고 이제 혼자나 아니야 매다 사방에 배셔서 보는 샤와서 가야만은 전 아니셔야 그래서 세만 매 시바데 이상 조금만 덮져 봐도 마냥 저 땜발서 매매 봐도 땜발 저기 나래양 로보자도 성원조조서 좀 보내지마 왕가라를 연비해서 좀 받아서만 그것도 좀 와야나 말이야. 와 진로 배다 밤로도 오메다 밤로도 오메다 알로금라다도 오메다 게데라다나 오메다 네베다다다야서 도제 사제로 와줘줘 용대 용내 자자자 지난달랑 따로 소리지 공부 소화되면 저하는 거 고만제 산조서 만나면 다시 줘 산조서 만나면 저 도지 리요 초만은 저 그때 초는 저 소저서 와에 받아 보면 저 보면 저서 저지 바디 라도 버는 와에서 그걸 라도 참 여기 바가고 다저 생겨나게 되지 저 보면 저도 요와서 고마워 매버 도제 제번에 가서 보여서 사제군 여사선다 내래송 아줌마서 오면서 와다다가도 앞에 그까지 정말 이제에 드레스임지 장당념에 집진 동안에 감바르레 남들이 습지리 지도를 왕걸 듣지 저 류탑지 강송사 이면 과태식도 정거래지.
I think that emanation of Tara appears as at the crown of each sentient being. So as many emanations as there are sentient beings, holding a vase in her hand and pouring down the empowerment nectar into the crowns of each sentient being. And then the nectar fills up their bodies and they become purified. So focus on this visualization single-pointedly.
대다 왕고에 더티 주주를 삼계강 그만큼지 다 쳐야 맛있는 저안이 이렇게 다 보자는 거 예다 어서 보자 더가 오제 더가 사원이 저거 왕가라요 그러지 마 저는 그러면 밥에 보가는 애서 만도 보통 도망가서 저러고 저도 저거 뭐 서제 빼마제반 담을 제가 완전히 제가 다시 당보 다시 보는도 내래죠 대달 이서 나왜 리저고네 사버트만 박차선 제가 제가 다 그해지서 나와 말이 봐서 리라이런지 리라이 제는 난동 성적이랑 지금 바로 왕 내가 똑같아 봐 까바진듯이 봐요.
Being thus initiated, the karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the body and all grasping at them are purified, and you have received the complete form empowerment. You are now empowered to practice the generation stage of visualizing your body as the deity, the union of appearance and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Nirmanakaya.
그래서 라이 거요 왕가 강니 라이 것이 일 제마다데 랑을 위에 신봉을 매잡하는 이 책성대 세사동 나도 야초다의 차송도 이 양탕형도 책 잡잡은 뭐 보면 이제 거는 이제 왔다 그러니 이 지마 쳐발더니 상 벌써 장을 매와는 게 쳐와 제들이 되듯이 사람 되고 요래.
So during the form empowerment of the deity, I think that the moment the deity's form comes to your mind, instantly think that your body is burned away. It disappears just like a pile of wood is being burned away by fire. And think that your body then becomes clear and empty, or appearing and empty, just like a rainbow. So visualize this over and over again, hundreds of times. Every time you visualize this, you are purifying obscurations. And then once you have become habituated to it, later on, it will appear to you even as though you have no more physical body. And that's the time when the blessings will actually enter you.
내다 동바체 뉴뭐 대사요만 자송제 대다를 이제 양도형도 좀 깨는지 되는 자송도 양도형도 쌓다.
So when you visualize the deity clearly but empty of self-nature, like a rainbow, within that nature, actually disease and evil spirits and obstacles and afflictive emotions do not exist. They have no dwelling place in a rainbow-like body. So therefore, visualize it over and over again. When you practice the generation stage, you should visualize again and again your body as like a rainbow-like body.
So 그게 남가도 소화되만데 지도 도제 zemba gongso so dane rola pindong za ngaji wangger yi shi che ngu zhe derwa ba la so.
Vajra holder, please heed me for the benefit of beings. Please grant me the great wisdom of the mantra empowerment, which is the source of all accomplishments.
Dani 다 로봉을 저거 암생 나한테 소위 빰 송노래데 땀 공되는 저거 요리 파체 다 소리가 타르데 나 엄배셨다 만 샤워를 사도록 그상만하도 되니 소봉지 샤니 나 그전 주더니 나까지 나를 이제 차봐봐나지 밥도 그럴 때 나게 지도 가 다वे 가면서니 다딴 거 달라들이 꼬라잡고요 다들이 라지 나지 제메바 저는 나고 고면 피우지 바래 들지 제메바 공고래
So then think that from the Vajra master's heart, the mantra garland emanates. And so actually the seed syllable of this deity is Bam, but actually probably it's also okay if you visualize the Dam syllable. So think that the mantra garland comes to circle around the seed syllable. So the mantra Om Bishati Panashavari Savamari Prashamani Hung. So think that the mantra then continuously circles around the Dham at your heart. So first think that it emerges in a form of light from the mouth of the Vajramastam, and then it also it showers down like rain falling down in a form of mantra syllables. And then when you repeat the mantra, when you say the mantra, think that now you have received the mantra garland, which begins to circle around the Dham syllable at your heart. And so then it's important to continuously continue to visualize and meditate on the mantra circle.
나중 성원도 제발 등 이쪽으로 쳐져버려서 말이지 매매반도 나데 제대도 온배샤제 반에 샤와르 사와 조라 자샤마나 소하 온배샤제 판나샤와르 사와 조라 자샤마나 소하 온배샤제 반에 샤와르 사와 조라 자샤마나 소하 좀디 나라 잘라지 나라 고월 제도소 좀디 달라달라지 달라 고월도서 가지고 그렇다는 또 욕되면 돼도 돈 차려도 만 돼도 온서라티 상배자여서 이니 어디 배처럼 매워 저는 다전하다면 요봐 진짜다면 찍는 거지 너는 이제 이거 다시 니 봐. 사실부터 또 뭐야 당들어요. 근데 저도 되게 속들이 만나러잖아. 오늘 만나러라 하는 또 그래 다다. 하여튼지 강청아 저도요서 네디 일단 나게 걸박차 정지 리걸 박차 정지 라이프 거치만 나걸 박차 정지 나자 이제 봐 그래.
So here at this point is the time when we should drink the nectar. So for that, now you can eat a money pill, a blessing pill that you have, and then just continue to think that the mantra circle, the string is there. So visualize the mantra string, and so then now the visualization of the deity's form is what purifies the karmic imprints of the body, and the sound of the deity's mantra purifies the karmic imprints of the speech. So that mainly is our fixation, our grasping at sound and speech.
때나 말이 잡아지다 왕돌 팔 장거리 심한 요 체들이 라전심에 버텨져도 나전심에 버당 다고저지 가서 봐장 들이 심한 동성 되게 뭐와 동대레스.
So it is because it is on the basis of our body and speech that we develop many thoughts of attachment and aversion. And this endless chain of thoughts is what places these karmic imprints into our mind. And so through receiving the empowerment, we are purifying all of these previously accumulated negativities and also prevent them from further arising in the future. So this is why it is important to continuously visualize the deity and recite the deity's mantra. In this way, then all previously accumulated negativities are purified and are prevented from arising in the future. So this is the important point here. Being thus initiated, the karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the speech and all grasping at them are purified, and you have received the complete speech empowerment. You are now empowered to recite the deity's secret mantra, the union of sound and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Sambhogakaya.
사냥 특별히 남간 정도 소화다 반대 제도 도제 zemba 공처서 다음에 로라 팽동더 바오 도제 소분지 롬초 등진 기도소.
And then in order to receive the mind empowerment, please repeat the following. Vajra holder, please heed me for the benefit of beings. Courageous Vajra master, please cause the samadhi of the Supreme Mind to arise.
나도 저는 만나러 오늘 단통불에 드리러 많이 저러래 만나러 만나면 이게 홍유지.
So if you have a money pill, now is the time to eat it, to take one, and think that inside of that pill is a Hung syllable.
로봇 사서가 저거네. 저거 소문이 어쩐지 내질라야 저가 보 내질라야 저주거네. 내질라야 내서 밥을 보가 다게 받은 게 나라도 와나 항상 소문 성대제 남아서 받으면 송 라르사벨lunga 있으면 템베 지랑문들lunga 있으면 사를 줄로마 좀 먹고 또 예미에 좀 봐몰라. 우론영에 다지는 게 나냐 말이죠. 이제 습지를 봐자마자 저장 홍군들이 다다 저장 사상제 소소 홍 대사를 소유를 요나 들이 습지직도 들이랑 비시다 예미봐 진통나 들이다다 르가가 박사대 대름나 하대 박송차래 소모요래 맨날 초다만 셔주바만으로 바라지 셔주바만을 로그나 그래서 똑같이 차나 초담제와 연구요 말에 뺐다고 시시대지 샘지시다 말은 리센 접토고요 말에 로브그드마지 리산제 탑체바지게 되게 홍보 좀 방법이 차례다 담지게 들이 나도 강연하서 홍비나 나도 직장에 쓴 당사리 로요에 철 접지 하장들이 니가 전부 망고요 이제 파사야 되니 홍기자는 싸서 양 쌀사고요래 저가사고요 쌀사고요래 들이 생기를 만데 들이 공작서 참
So now, in order to purify the obscurations of the mind, meditate on the syllable Hung. And so generally, even though all the deities have their own seed syllable, the Hung syllable is really a seed syllable, like the life force of all the deities. And so focus on that single pointed limb, and then it becomes indivisible from your own mindfulness. And if you're able to sustain such mindfulness, then, as you mentioned before, the karmic imprints of body and speech and mind all become purified. So it is then your body, then you become just like a crystal vase that is filled with pure water. So if the crystal vase is pure inside, then, and you fill it with pure water, then even if the outside of the vase becomes a little bit stained, it the stains cannot really directly connect to the water anyways. So if you do not separate from mindfulness, your mind cannot become obscured. That is why we speak about those temporary or adventitious obscurations. And so the Buddha gave many skillful means to purify these obscurations. And one of them is to visualize the Hung syllable, which I have mentioned to you many times. So whenever a thought arises in the mind, instantly think of Hung. And the Hung then completely disperses all thoughts. And then there is no thought. The mind is completely empty. And then there is no obscuration. So there are many opportunities, many ways to accumulate obscurations. So there are many kind of dangerous circumstances that obscure the mind very easily. The mind becomes obscured very easily. So it's very easy for these imprints to enter the mind, but likewise, it's just as easy to clear them away, to purify them all. So now everyone meditate.
왕 탐색의 정본들이 말하이 바라더니 바짝 소들고 새 왕지 나를 사걸 또만 나가 왕지 리트 살아 봐줘 나타 또 봐 주고요 마티는 다들 박찬들이 사티는 slag 박찬들이 이 박찬들 다 놓고요 이 샘들이 로바 도루 줘봐 도저 왕성 그 탐지 세분대로 공부를 제대로 샘거리 짱을 샘랍다 줄라도 정도로 봐게 찌딱지 뭐 랑그 샘을 쳤다고 랑그 샘을 따고 랑그 샘을 쳤대는 이런 이게 또 제대로 그래 갑자기 쩍쩍을 샘 동반 나파다 어차피 따고 랑그 샘을 따고 샘을 떼는 나또 찌짝요 말이야 이다 주대 사자시부터 샘 이제를 대신지 모여서 사제가 타제 잡을 생기는 사제니도 샘 그런 이제를 사제리 로로 나도 나중에 되겠어 오늘 따라가 샘을 따고 땅지 장샘 쳤대 레들이 샘 대변 통공에서 나 샘을 따고서 뭔가요 마주 다 샘을 따지.
And this is the essence of all empowerments. Milarepa had said that the outer empowerment is when the empowerment vase is placed onto your crown. The inner empowerment is when you visualize your body in the form of the deity. So this is when you think of the deity, you actually become the deity. So it's really the thought, that the mind that changes. You see yourself as the deity. So basically, if you think me, if you think I, then you place that imprint in the mind, and that is what you perceive. But if you think of the deity, then all that appears is the deity, and that purifies this karmic imprint of grasping at the I, the me. And then Milarepa said the ultimate empowerment is when you recognize, when you actualize the true ultimate nature of the mind, which is in a natural state. And actually, it's all for that sake. All of the entire empowerment, all practice is just for that sake, in order to realize the true nature of your mind. Tilopa had said, without a single thought, look decisively at the ultimate nature. So think about nothing and look at your mind. And then just naturally thinking stops. Then there is no thoughts in your mind. When there are no thoughts in your mind, the mind becomes like empty space. And then always continue to do that. Continue to look at the mind. So you always should have this feeling of, I have to look at my mind. And then when you look at the mind, there is nothing there like space. And when you decide upon that, when you gain certainty in that, you have seen the view of Mahamudra. which is Buddha nature. And also already the Buddha had decided that. He said that all beings are actually Buddhas. So the basis of their mind, their fundamental nature, is actually Buddha. And it's just that thoughts appear momentarily. So look at your mind right now, and in a very direct way, without a single thought. You decisively and directly look at your mind. Don't give it any name, no concepts, don't label it anything. Just look directly at the mind now.
근데나 맞추는데 다시 서울하다 봐서 라바에게 주변에 소재 저런 거 사기나 빠지게 되는 게 다시 선바오 다시 무슨 정보에 된들들에 저 자체 남에서야서 와 대다 이선남이 이제 고네 sakwe kama pachate 다시 봐다 특히 이선남 말이 봐톱 샘라에 톱제랑 지서 동성 요를 먹어봐라 Being
thus initiated, the karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the mind and all grasping at them are purified, and you have received the complete mind empowerment. You are now empowered to meditate on the nature of the deity's mind, the union of clarity and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Dharmakaya.
Tridati diversi parla tridata quanto tante che sono quanto tante che canne data tante che padele io sto tomando dopo tante casimori sambata ngi zubasam sambata ngi di Uma Tavare, it is not so local, no Luxatellitary, certain do Tavagore, certain do territory, certain Zubachiboy, Chaji Yomari, Kangi Yomari, the Santo Santo Kachiboy, Bakane, Nekam Tori, Tato Sanje, Komato, just put it, just Sanje of the Ning Tavare, the Santo Sidorboche, the Jidum, the Wang Drop Song, the Roman Authority. Wang Tom Jig Yami, just I took some with the Jargore, Wang detacting that that is a walk up your very to Sancho Secretary, to Gomjaya, or Nango Sancho Center, Gomja Shibata, Sajabo Gom. Good dog contacted in Samba Chemi, you shape about Gom. It is Saratan to sort of the top tare, one thought I should not have taken a dog or a one drop song to roll number.
And so then, in order to stabilize these blessings, it is said one should guard the Samaya, which is the life force of the empowerment. And so, on a relative level, there are some who consider the relative level as more important. And so, on the relative level, for us, this is important, which is we first need to cultivate love, compassion, and patience. So for us, like ordinary beings, this is most important. Love and compassion are like milk, and patience is like the vessel that you pour the milk in. So the vessel has to be a golden vessel. A golden vessel cannot break easily, and it cannot become damaged easily. So just like this is how it is when you have patience. So to summarize it, it is bodhicitta. That's most important. And that is the only cause of birth in the higher realms, temporarily, and of ultimately attaining enlightenment. Bodhicitta is like the heart of all the Buddhas of the 3 times. So therefore, as our Samaya, we will repeat the precious bodhicitta, a prayer, and that is really what you should practice. That is what you should keep as the Samaya, like your life force. So for you disciples who receive many empowerments, that's really what is most important. It is because we receive many empowerment that we have to know how to bring them all into one single essence. Because often we get sidetracked and people think that, there is this Samaya for this empowerment and that Samaya for that empowerment and so forth. But nowadays we don't really have the opportunity to practice each and every specific Samaya, because what's most important is the Samaya of bodhicitta on the relative level. On the ultimate level, if you know meditation, then it means to meditate with mindfulness, to rest in a state of Mahamudra. So on the relative level, the Samaya is bodhicitta, immeasurable love. That is the root, the life force of the Samaya, of the empowerment. That's what is most important. So even though you might have received many empowerments or practices, you have to know how to gather them all into this one single essence. So, Dharma friends, this completes the empowerment.
Sanjo Rinpoche Maje Bana Jije Jeba Nyamba Meba Yang Hong Le Gong De Bewa Yo. The Roma, where the top, the Japman boy, or the test of the new boat, so the Roma Jabduma, the Roma Jabduma, quiet long, just that one, the Roma top, so the Jabduma, the Chebe Balon, to just send the young Yore, the Kichabo, there is a Mamma, said, reject the song, the ritual number, Ashidele.
And there is this Tara practice, and so even if there are hundreds of different forms and of Tara and Samayas, the essence is in the 7 verses of supplication to Tara. So therefore, you should really gain a good understanding of these 7 verses and keep those 7 verses really as your Samaya by practicing and reading it on an ongoing basis. Because this is really a prayer that shows how Tara, the deity, really is always together with you in your mind. So it's very important. And now in the end, we will together recite dedication prayers. Many Dashviteleg, my Dharma friends.
Dedication on the prayer book, page 18. Great Vajradhara, Talopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dharma Lord Gampopa, Pagmodrupa, and Lord Drikung. May the auspiciousness of the Kakyu Lamas prevail. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind root and lineage of the Word, divine assembly of Yidams, assemblies of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, here and Yogini and her assembly of Dakinis, all of you dwelling in the 10 directions, please heed me. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the affliction of attachment, hatred, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May thoughts of fame, reputation, respect, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta. And may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. At the moment of death, may I not experience the suffering of being abruptly severed from this life. May I not suffer terrible death. May I not die confused by wrong views. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind itself and in the crystal clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo. For this realm encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. Tenzin Gyatso, Lord Chenrezig, may you remain steadfast until the end of samsara. Embodiment of the 3 jewels, great being who upholds and increases the teachings of the Shakya Lion, supreme are your activities of guiding others with your perfect deeds. May you, the precious Guru who accomplishes everything spontaneously, live long. Holder of the teachings of the Lord Drikung, great Lord of the 3 jewels, through the power of your peerless compassion and the holy Dharma's peace and light, you bring relief to beings. May your life be long. The one known in the noble land as Aryadeva, emanated into the Gara clan of eastern Tibet as Chodingpa, the heart son of Jigten Gompo. May the life of glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. Crown of the Shakyas, kind friend to strangers, the 17 great Panditas, Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Gampopa, Jigten Somgun, and their lineage heirs, please bestow good fortune and auspiciousness. Protector Amitayus, transcendent Lord who grants supreme life, everlasting, stable, and unchanging, and who diverts from untimely death anyone who merely hears your name or thinks of you, please bestow good fortune and auspiciousness. Living austerely in the higher training of discipline, full of compassion, that is the glory of those to be tamed, devoid of all grasping, never parting from Mahamudra's natural state. Naden Tempe Nima, son of the teachings, may your life remain firm. May the teachings of the great Drikungpa Ratnashri, master of interdependence, omniscient Lord of Dharma who has seen all knowable things, be upheld until the end of cyclic existence through study, practice, hearing, contemplation, and meditation. Your 1,000 arms are the 1,000 wheel-turning kings. Your 1,000 eyes are the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate eon. Your love is boundless like space. I supplicate to the Bodhisattva Chenrezig. Om Mani Padme Hum.
多谢谢仁波切，多谢谢。
灵啦，谢谢。